All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well,
okay, so now we're back.
Yes.
So for our second segment of this hour-long program, like I said, that we split. We're on number 2, and we're going to talk about heart disease. And the reason why we're going to talk about heart disease is our number 1 killer in this country, number 1, followed by things like cancer. So where did we go wrong? Why does the Bible always say, let not your heart be troubled? You know, there are tons and tons of scriptures about the heart in the Bible. God knew then that we would have problems with our heart, and this is what Veola does. She does the biggest thing that you could ever do to help your heart, and that is to get some education. And that's what she do on a daily basis. And Veola, number 1, let me ask you this. Where do we get in trouble with our heart? And then we're going to talk about ways that we can make it better.
Okay, can I do one thing before
we get there?
Let's thank IGBN.
Okay.
The iGospel Broadcasting Network for this opportunity to even come and to be able to do these segments.
And the wonderful staff.
I know,
I've fallen in love with Joshua. I've fallen in love with Angela.
Right.
I've just fallen in love with everybody here.
Yes, so we thank you all.
Such a Christian environment. Can't y'all just feel the love on the show? They've made us feel so welcome. Like we've been doing this show for 1,000,000 years. That's what it feels like.
It's just manifested in the physical. We've been doing this,
Veola and I've been doing this forever. But now we just decided, because we do have some free time, it's time for us to take it to the next level.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing. We're going to try to reach everybody we can in the States, out the States. We're just going to reach as many people as we can.
Right.
Because like we said earlier, our people perish for lack of knowledge.
Yes, and I think we forgot to tell the people where we're located at. We're from St. Louis, Missouri, so we're here in St. Louis.
And I'm via St. Louis from McIntyre, Georgia.
Okay.
A little country town with 300 people. It's 299 since I left, because I think I'm the only one left. And they used to call it Jump Off Georgia. They said the bus slow down and you jump off. You just be standing there with your little suitcase, and they kind of pull over to the curb and you just jump off. So I'm a Southern girl, been in Georgia all of my life, and then relocated to St. Louis, and then I met Veola, and we had this little natural click, and we said, let's just start educating the people. That's what we can give back. Because God, when we stand before Him, He's not interested in what you did for yourself.
Okay,
you know, I made me $1 billion, and I did this. God gonna ask you, how many people did you tell about me? That's what He want to know. And to keep them here healthy so they can continue to praise Him and lift Him up.
Yeah, because we live beneath our privileges as Christians.
Yes,
you know?
we do. Yes,
and we're here to be healthy, and to have your health is so key in finishing your assignment well. And so that's who I am and what I do. I'm a cardiac health coach, registered nurse. I've been in nursing for over 46 years. Yes, I said 46 years.
She doesn't look it.
It's okay. We got a behind the scenes secret on that too. But anyway, so as a cardiac health nurse, I've talked to so many people with heart disease, and we can kind of share what is heart disease. You know, how does it all come about, and those kind of things. We'll give you that kind of information. But I did want to just mention that your healthy heart matters. Okay, it matters to me, and I'm hoping it matters to you, because it doesn't matter if it matters to us.
Right.
If it doesn't matter to you,
we can't go home with you and make you
now
do right, and that's what I tell my patients all the time. I can only give you the advice here, but I'm not able to go home with each and every one of you and clean out your refrigerator, break all that junk stuff up, go to the grocery store with you, and we're going to do some grocery shopping and all that to show you hard, healthy things she can point out for us that we need to be putting in our buggy and take the junk out. You know, Veola, I saw a mother, and this just broke my heart, because you know I'm real teary-eyed all the time. Your doctor here cries about everything. So her little buggy was so pitiful, I wanted to stop and tell her, but you can't no more. Young people are angry, they'll shoot me. But I looked at her little buggy, and she had her kids with her, and all I saw was ice cream. I saw Oreo cookies. I saw potato chips. I saw a lot of frozen pizzas, and no fresh vegetables. I did not see not one apple, banana, nothing but just ice cream and cake and brownies and all this stuff. And she was heading toward the cashier, and I'm saying, I want to march you back in that store and let you and I go on this shopping spree. But you know, you can't tell them then, but me and you can tell them now.
Right. And it's a whole lifestyle behavior change, and that's what in coaching, what I do, that's basically what I'm doing. Doctor, like she said, she didn't have time to go through all of that, okay? But she can give you the information, and hopefully we catch you before it becomes an issue for you.
Right.
So preventative, so going to the doctor for preventative to make sure nothing is going on. Don't wait until something happens and then run. Let's go ahead of time. But on the coaching end of it, I actually do sit down with the person and I talk with them, see what their lifestyle behaviors are, what they're eating, how your exercising program is going on. If you're on medications, let's talk about your medications, why you're taking them, what their, side effects and things like that. But it's a lifestyle behavior change. It's actually educating and helping you to understand why you're taking a thing. Why should you eat a healthier lifestyle? Processed foods, what she mentioned, those are all processed foods, and they're not, our bodies can't handle that, and it's going to cause some really issues. So with heart disease, basically, we're talking about your arteries and your heart arteries narrowing, hardened, clogged up, or something's going on with them.
The plumbing has gone bad. I mean, just like the plumbing in your house and you got to call the plumber. Yeah. Well, guess what? The human body is so different. It has a plumbing system. It has an electrical system. It has a neurological system. It has all this. And actually, even though the heart's job is to pump blood throughout the body all day long, it has to have a blood to give you oxygen and the nutrients you need. But guess what? The heart needs those same nutrients and oxygen, and they come in through what we call these coronary arteries. Well, when you block them all off with high cholesterol and all the things that we're doing, now the poor little heart's in there, it can't get the nutrients it needs, so it cannot do the job it needs. And then that's when you hear people saying, oh, I went to the doctor and they said I had to have a bypass and a triple bypass and a quadruple bypass, or I had to get stents. Have y'all ever heard people say I had to get stents in and all? That's because those coronary arteries have been blocked, and there are all kind of other things that can happen to the heart, like heart failure, congestive heart failure. The heart can get weird arrhythmias. You hear them on TV all the time talking about atrial fibrillation and all this. So what Veola and I are doing is trying to keep you away from those things.
Yes.
Atrial fibrillation, congestive heart failure, clogged up arteries, needing stents and all that. We're trying to get to you before that and tell you what you can do not to land there.
Right, exactly. And you had mentioned that heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States, and it is. But you know what also, okay, we said heart disease, but now #2 is cardiovascular disease, which now we're talking about like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and stuff like that. And then I think #3 is like similar to it. The cancer is #5.
Right.
But everything leading up to that, like strokes, all of that comes from cardiovascular. If you look at the first 4 major killers right there, it's all related to our heart.
It's all related. You cannot separate the body into little pieces like, oh, if this little piece is going good and this little piece over here is going bad, I'm good. No, you're not. The body, the way only God could have made a body. The body is so incredible. Did you know right now, Veola and I just scratched ourselves? Or if you was at home and got a little scratch, guess what? Day or 2 later, if you keep it clean and dry, guess what? That scratch is healed. You'll look back and won't even remember where the scratch was. I scratched myself a few days ago. God designed the human body to actually heal itself. It's what we do to the body that impedes that immune system and the systems in place to heal us. We do that to ourselves. It's almost like self-inflicted injury.
Right? Yeah.
It is. So we've got to make some changes. We've got to look out for that heart. Let me tell you something. You know the size of your heart? We always say, oh, people got such a big heart. The size of your heart is the size of your fist. So I want all you all out there right now to ball your fists up. You looking at your fist? That's the size of the human heart. So it's not this big thing that could just work. It takes no vacation. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if the heart stops working, guess what? You stop working.
That's
so they don't have no vacation. They can't go in and tell the boss, I think I need 2 weeks off. No, it can't do that.
Yes.
It got to keep pumping blood. Even while you sleep, that heart is steady working.
Right.
So you got to take care of it. And Veola, hit us with some ways we can take care of our heart.
Well, so when I do this, why don't I try to do it along with some of the risk factors of heart disease? So on the opposite So I'll give you some things that's the risk factor. So the opposite of that would be a healthier lifestyle behavior that you can do. Okay, so there's 4 things that we cannot change. Let's talk about those first. So our heredity, race or ethnicity, our family history. We can't change those things, nor can we change our gender. We cannot change our gender. Either you male or you female, as far as your heart is concerned.
Right.
Okay. And so, as aging male, that is a risk factor, or postmenopausal women. That's a risk factor. That's why I say male or female, aging male, or postmenopausal women. Those are risk factors for heart disease. We can't do anything about those. It just is what it is. Now, the ones that we can do something about would be, first of all, poor dietary habits. Okay. So we talk about that a little bit, but eating a heart-healthy diet or changing the things that we're eating, because that can actually cause us very serious problems. You talked about clogging up the arteries, and all of that. We're talking about all the bad food choices that we make.
Absolutely.
Lack of exercise. That would
couch
be another
potato.
thing. Yeah.
Yes, I said it. Couch potato.
Couch potato, yeah. So, the American Heart Association just recommends 150 minutes of physical activity a week and 2 days of some resistant exercise. That could be, lifting weights. Even it could be a weight lift. It could be the bottle of water. It can be a can. Whatever. It can be some 5-pound, 10-pound weights, whatever. But 2 days out of the week, okay? They recommend that. And then smoking, number 1.
Oh, please.
Number 1,
lay your weapon down. I call smoking a weapon. You got to lay it down. Smoking is the number 1 cause of preventable deaths.
Yep.
Meaning a death you didn't have to die. You didn't even have to do that.
You didn't have to go there.
You didn't have to go there. And plus, they getting expensive. I don't know how y'all, in this economy, I don't even know how you afford it. Because I told a patient one day I thought they were $5. She said, oh, no. They $7, $8. I went, $7, $8. She said, oh, yeah.
I remember my daddy had a gas station. It was $25.
Oh,
25 cents.
Right,
25 cents.
right. So they have gone up in price. Put that money in a savings account. I had a patient one time. He told me he quit smoking. He said, but he smoked 2 packs a day. So he would put the money he would spend on the cigarette in a jar in his closet. He said, I would just move the clothes out the way, drop the money in the jar. At the end of the year, he said he had almost $1,500 in there when he dumped it. So it's very costly habit, too. So you can have that money.
So you're smoking money away.
Smoke your money away.
And put yourself in the grave,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Absolutely.
That's just, because when they did a little research, I think there's like 4,000 plus different chemicals in cigarette smoke.
It is.
So just imagine that. I had a patient to tell me it was way funny, but I couldn't laugh about it. But it was like, whoa. He had went to the emergency room, and he was talking about how his carbon monoxide level in his body was. He had carbon monoxide in his body, and he trying to figure out how it was. He said the doctor didn't know why he had carbon monoxide in his body. I said, do you smoke? And he said, yeah. I said, well, what do you know that smoke has carbon monoxide in it? The same thing killing people in their garages.
Absolutely.
You smoking it. And he said, oh my goodness, I had no idea. My doctor didn't even know. I'm like, well, he probably didn't think about it. But that's how you got carbon monoxide in your blood.
Absolutely.
So, but it's so many bad things. And
and
it's even secondhand smoke.
It's bad. Oh, yeah.
And so even if you are around someone that's smoking, you can be affected as far as your heart is concerned. And now they figured out and did research for third-hand smoking. And that's the smoke that's in the paint in the walls of the house of the smoker.
And you can tell it as soon as you walk in. I remember one time when I was trying to buy a house, I would turn around at the door. As soon as we walk in and I smell that smoke, I told the realtor, I said, I got to go. I can't do this. And she got so sick of me, and I know she did because I was a tough customer. She said, you know what Dr. Walker look like to me? You need to build a house.
I know,
Because every house we walk in, you find the thought. I went, that's a great idea. That's exactly what I did.
Right.
Because that secondhand and third-hand smoke is just not good for you. It's just too much stuff in there and too much stuff that causes cancer, including embalming fluid. Yeah, did you know embalming fluid was in cigarettes? So if you waking up being a little stiff every morning, it could be those cigarettes that you're smoking. So they're just bad all the way around.
It's bad all the way around.
What are
some of the other things? We were talking about
the risk.
High blood pressure and high cholesterol, both risk factors for heart disease.
So
that's why we're going to talk about that in our other segments. But those are risk factors, and that's why you want to actually deal with those before it becomes an issue for you for preventative preventative because you're reducing the risk factors.
Absolutely.
These risk factors that I'm giving you are all things that you want to reduce the risk factors, which reduces your chance of having an issue with heart disease. So just think about it. It's like 13 of them. You have all 13. That's probably not a good thing. So you want to reduce those risk factors. And then we also have stress.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
talk about
Number
stress.
one killer. Let me tell you what the most frequent phase in the Bible is, believe it or not. And in my book, I got a chapter called The Dirty Dozen. And it's the 12 worst things that can happen to your health care. So when I tell people about the Dirty Dozen, they say things like, oh, I know, Dr. Walker, a big snake laying over there in the grass about to bite you. That's the biggest deterrent to your health care. I'm going, no. Or a big lion charging at you out the woods. I'm going, no. I said the biggest deterrent to your health care, believe it or not, y'all ready for this and you already know, is stress. Stress will kill you. That's why the Bible say, be anxious for what? Nothing. Stress is a killer. It releases all these old negative chemicals in the body called leukotrienes, and I won't get into all the chemicals. Just know they release all this fight or flight in you when your heart is racing and you're all upset and you're nervous. That shot your blood pressure up, and if you're prone to high blood pressure, you can stroke out. It could go so high. So we have got to find ways to reduce our stress level. Yes.
And bringing up that scripture, I did a sermon on that years ago, and when I researched that word, worry, stress, in the Greek, it actually means a word that means a divided mind.
A divided mind.
And baby, that's what worry and anxiety is, a divided mind.
Absolutely.
And when you have a divided mind, and Jason said, you can't please God. You can get nothing. You can't even get nothing from
What
him.
God said about a bad mind divided is not stable.
It's unstable
in all
your
the ways. So
that affects our whole body, our whole everything. So
you can't sleep. And we finding out rest is so important. Because let me tell you something. When you sleep, what you're really doing is giving your body time to repair itself. That's what sleep does.
Yes.
So if you laying up in the bed at 3 a.m, with your eyes closed, but your mind is racing, and you think about things going to happen 10 years from now. Oh, Lord, 10 years from now, I may not be able to pay my bill. 10 years from now, none of us may not be able to pay our bill. So that's why God only gives you manna for what? One day. He only wants you to deal with today. He's got tomorrow. Trust me, he's got it. But stress, just take my word for it, will kill you.
And so that is part of the recommendations to help you with sleep. It's recommended that you get at least 7 to 8 hours. I know we don't like to talk about that, but for your body to repair and to restore itself, because at night when you're sleeping, you're in the deep sleeps, and you go through those cycles, it's actually cleansing and washing out those toxins that have built up in our bodies all day long. So just imagine if you're not letting your body get the proper restoration, which would be to restore and get rid of the toxins, just think what's happening. They're building up. And now we got the Alzheimer's, we got all kind of other issues, heart disease, all of that going on because we did not get enough sleep. So, maybe take some time out for prayer and meditation. And when I say meditation, I'm talking about meditating on the Word of God, not all that other stuff. And then also doing some things that you enjoy just for you, taking time out for you. You do it for everybody else, but what about you? Taking time out for you. And then, deep breathing. Excellent.
Most people, and we're going to talk about that on future shows too, that most of y'all don't even know how to breathe. You know why? When you get upset, guess what you do? You pat like a little puppy. That's the worst way that you can breathe. But then again, that's another show. We got so many shows coming up. So in conclusion, we
got one more thing though.
What we
got?
One
more, the big risk factor, diabetes.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Risk factor for heart disease.
We're going to do a show on that one, too.
Yes.
And most people don't know diabetics have what we call silent heart attack, meaning they can have a heart attack and not even know it. I look at the EKG sometime on diabetic patients, and I look at them, I say, Miss So-and-so, or Mr. So-and-so, did you know you've had a heart attack? Nobody ever told me I had a heart attack, Dr. Walker. I said, well, you did, because they are silent. And that's a whole nother show that you're not going to want to miss when we do that one, is on diabetes, because that's a big risk for heart disease. We don't usually think of diabetes. We eat a big chunk of chocolate cake and banana pudding as your heart. But when you put that big hunk of cake in your mouth, put that hand over that left side of that chest and say, this is hurting my heart.
Yeah, good. That's good. That's good. So we talked a little bit about those risk factors. So again, reducing the risk factors. And there are others, but those are just the major ones.
Right.
But what I wanted to mention, when you had mentioned about scarring, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. When you were dealing with the coronary arteries, if we think about it, if there's a little tear or something, how it could be from the blood pressure, whatever.
Right.
And then your body wants to heal itself. It creates a little scar there. Right. Now you got all of this cholesterol, all this fat in your body because you've been eating all cholesterol, fried foods, butter. I mean, just all that stuff.
The good stuff. You know what my book says?
The good stuff.
If it tastes good, spit it out.
The good stuff. But just think about this. So that good stuff now is floating around in our bodies, and so every now and then a piece of that cholesterol sticks to that scar that's in that artery. And, you know, when your heart is pumping, doing what it's doing, a little bit more stick there. Then before you know it, you got a clogged up artery from all of that plaque and all that stuff. Narrow your arteries. Now you got the heart issue. Now we can have a heart attack, which they call it myocardial infarction.
Right.
But a heart attack. So what happens with a heart attack, Dr.
Walker, it's just not good. And what people think, they'll say things like, well, Dr. Walker, did my heart come under attack? Well, in an indirect way it does. Because what happens is, let's say if the heart attack happened because one of those coronaries was clogged up, that area of the heart where that blood vessel supplies, like say it supplies inferior, the lower part of the heart, that's the part that come under attack and has what they call the infarct in it, meaning we can look at EKGs and other tests and know that it was deprived of blood supply, it was deprived of oxygen, and guess what? It's damaged. It's damaged, just like any other part of the body that gets damaged. That part of your heart is damaged, and that's where the heart attack comes from.
Right, because the heart is a muscle.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it beats, and you know, and it's trained to beat. It has a job. Like everybody got a job, your heart got a job. Yeah. But your heart's job is to pump blood throughout the day, 24/7, like we said, unobstructed. But when it gets obstructed with all this fat and plaque, like she alluded to, that's blocking these coronary arteries and stopping blood from getting to vital parts of the heart, then that heart don't have no blood supply. And then that part of the heart, like I said, we'll call, has been infarcted.
Yeah. Wow. I tell you, and God, I mean, just as I said, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. I mean, everything has a purpose. It all works together. So you jack up one area, some other areas gonna be affected as well. Too. So yeah, my mom and them used to say, what you do affect everybody.
And it does. Like when we make individual decisions in our life, it's not an individual decision. No, if you decide one day you want to go on drugs, guess what? You've affected the whole family. That's right. Because one, you putting your health at risk. Two, you're putting your family at risk. Your crime rate goes up. People going to have to try to bail you out of jail. Yeah. Sometimes one drug leads to another. So if you're doing one drug, you may start drinking and turn into an alcoholic. And then you may be the one turning into that old mean, fussing alcoholic, which is the worst kind. And also, every decision you make in life, it's not just you. No. It's going to affect everybody around you, your friends, your job, your church home, your neighbors. It does not matter. Everybody. So what we're here to tell you as we conclude this segment is make wise decisions, especially when it comes to your heart. You want to eat right. You want to exercise, all the things she's alluded to. You want to keep stress out your life. If you got diabetes, you want to keep it under control. And for sure, try to incorporate that fish, even if you do some sardines.
Oh, yeah, we didn't remember one other risk factor. This came to mind. Thank you, Lord. And it's okay, but it is obesity. That is another risk factor for heart disease. I just want to mention that. So that's the physical activity coming. We already talked about that. But hey, so can you all see that your healthy heart matters? Not just your heart matters. But let me read one scripture to you quickly. Proverbs 4:20-23. I'm going to read this.
And
so I want to
write it down.
Write this down, okay? Write this down. So we're going to do this. My son, attend to my words, incline thy ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of thine heart.
Right. For
they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence. Absolutely. For out of it is the issues of life.
Okay? So we didn't say it. God said it.
God said it.
And he left his word for us to follow. So it's in his word. So we're just backing up what we were taught in medical school and nursing school and all her advanced training that she did in heart prevention and all. And then we got God and the Bible to back us up. What better thing to back you up than the word of God?
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right. So the next segment, so again, we split this up into 4 segments because it's so long. We don't want to overburden you and want you to have time to listen to it. The next segment we're going to talk about is something you all need to hear about, including young people, and that's hypertension or high blood pressure or high blood. Either way you want to refer to it, that's what we're going to talk about next.
All right.
Thank you so much. And this next segment is coming right up.
Wow.
Okay. So, hypertension.
Yep,
That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about high blood. And patients love to come and tell me, Dr. Walker, the doctor told me I had high blood. And I don't know what that means. And I don't know why I got to take this medicine. And most of the male patients, they really funny. They tell me they have a problem with impotence, and they always put it on me. They say, ever since Dr. Walker, you started me on that high blood pressure medicine, my performance in the bedroom, the old man just ain't what she used to be. I said, okay, so can we talk? So let's talk about high blood pressure, what it means when we say high blood pressure, and better then, toward the end, we're going to do what Veola and I always do is give you ways to make changes to keep that pressure down. So what high blood pressure is this is the force that the heart, when the heart beats, remember I told you the heart beats, boom, boom, 24/7, 24 hours a day. The force that it puts against the blood vessels when it come out of your heart, that's the blood pressure. You got 2 numbers, a systolic number, that's when the heart beats, boom. And then you got the diastolic number, is when the heart relaxes and just filling up with blood. So guess what it can do? So it can pump it out again. So a normal person, say we just take 120/80, let's just do that. But that's the standard most of y'all remember. Even though now they're even pushing toward it could be a little lower. But for today, discussion, let's just say 120/80. When a person's blood pressure is 120/80, the pressure against the blood vessels is not so severe because it's 120/80, and the human body loves to be in what we call equilibrium. It likes everything to be even and smooth. You want your life to be even and smooth. So you know the human body wants itself to be even and smooth. So it's just coming out 120/80, everything is good. But when a person gets high blood pressure and those numbers start rising, that pressure, this is the blood vessel, this fist, is bamming against some blood vessels. Boom, boom, boom. And then before you know it, those blood vessels get damaged. They can get things that are called aneurysms where the walls get thin. So it just comes from all them years of just bamming against some vessels. But the biggest problem that we see with it that's so bad is that it's silent. It don't give you no symptoms. Most patients go, oh, I thought I was going to be dizzy and have a headache. Well, guess what? You don't always be dizzy and have a headache. It's a silent killer. And I used to always tell my professors in medical school, I said, you know what? In a way, I'm kind of sad that it's silent. Because if it gave symptoms, it would make people go seek help. But because it's a silent killer, you walk around with that blood vessels get just boom to boom all day long, and you don't know anything about it.
Yeah. So that's good. So just as a recap, just so we can make sure that everybody is understanding, and we're in this next segment here. This is our 3rd segment, right?
Right.
Okay. But so what she's saying is that the blood pressure is actually, we're measuring the force of the blood as it hits against your artery walls. Right. All right. She explained the top number, the bottom number, the systolic, diastolic, and the damage that can be done if the blood pressure is elevated, because it's, just think of a balloon. You know, if you stretch that balloon, blow it up and let it back down, blow it back up, let it back down. You just think about that. Then it gets weakened. It's expanded. It's no longer, flexible like it was. It's just there. Think about your blood vessels as such. And now you got that big old force coming. Right.
Bam against it.
Right, bam and bam and bam and bam. And yeah, so that was a good analogy to give, so people can kind of get an idea of, man, what is high blood pressure? Yeah, the blood pressure. So yeah, and so Dr. Walker, like you had mentioned, I know that they had lowered the numbers. It used to be 140/90, less than that. Then they went to 130, less than 130 over 80, as far as a target. Now, this is American Heart Association target, but yeah, ideal would be like the 120 over 80 or less, because they did studies that showed people that was doing the 140 over 90 over a period of years, we were the very ones, and they were the very ones that was having challenges with their blood pressure.
Absolutely.
So they lowered those numbers, and it's actually to help protect our heart.
It is. All this protects that heart. You don't want nothing pounding away, even at those blood vessels. Remember we told you that you got blood vessels that surround the heart, that supply the heart. They can get hit with that pressure too. So we want to, it's like in your life, you don't want, let's just make it simple, you don't want a lot of pressure in your life. You know, people giving you a lot of pressure, you trying to get rid of them real fast. But the inside of the body can be under all this pressure, and you don't know that it's under all this pressure. And then one day you just wake up and you've had a massive stroke. You know, the face is bent, the arm is up in the air, or you're being rushed to the hospital because you've had a massive heart attack. So there are ramifications of what we call long-standing hypertension that goes untreated, that you're not being treated for, you're in denial about it. That's one of the biggest denials Veola I see when patients tell me, oh, well, then it wasn't high at home. You know?
That would be me. That would be me at your office.
Yes, you told me that all the time.
I sure did.
Yes, it wasn't that. And it only got like that when I got here. So there is such a thing as white coat syndrome. So tell them about that.
So I have white coat syndrome. Let me come to the defense of everybody that actually for real checking your blood pressure at home on a daily basis. So you know what your blood pressure numbers are, because in your own environment. But every time I would go to the doctor, I get a Dr. Walker's office, my blood pressure was off the chart. I'm like, Dr. Walker, I just took my blood pressure before I came, and this is what my blood pressure was. I mean, one day I brought the blood pressure cup to the office with me. So let's take it on both. And it was high on both of the devices. So my point is, there is a such thing as a white coat syndrome, but know your numbers. So you can help your primary care doctor and your doctors out so they can better treat you and help manage your condition. Right. So because my doctor is not a big fan of medication, we did the blood pressure. We'll check your blood pressure every day. If your blood pressure is XYZ, then you can take this. Well, I changed my dietary habits, and I lost weight. I did all those things, so I didn't have to use any medications.
Absolutely.
So that's all I'm saying. And my blood pressure is like 110 over 60.
Oh, it's low now. It's
60,
like low.
And all that good stuff. But my point is, had I not shared with her what my blood pressure was at home, I would have left her at a disadvantage to even be able to manage and treat me well. Right. So don't blame it on the doctor when you're not doing your part. It's called participation. You know, we got to be